Kamala, 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 Democrat Party, Mayor Mamdalini, Kamala Harris, Democrat Party. He's a socialist. Mamdalini is a socialist. Democratic socialist. It's the same thing, man. So yesterday, Mayor Mamdalini, mayor of New York City, was caught on tape, on cassette tape. He was caught on cassette tape. What kind of tape was it? Was it VHS tape? TDK? Maxell? Was it mini DV? Mini DV tape? Was it Beta SPE? Beta Cam? What kind of tape was he caught on? As you see from the title, Mayor Mamdalini, he, simply by breathing, exposes America's illiteracy issue. I mean, when you look at somebody like Cuomo, who goes on stage and he's supposed to be running against a guy, and what did he call him? Maduki. Like, this guy's a major political figure in this country. Not first generation, right? His father, right? As well, was it Andrew Cuomo? And he's running for mayor, and he is unable to pronounce the name of the person he's running against. But yet, we have so many ignorant people in this country, so it's not just illiteracy, it's also ignorance. There's so many ignorant people in this country that people look at him as more competent. So people would look at a guy who can't even figure out how to pronounce, and it's not even like it's a crazy name. I get it. Some people have complicated names that's hard to pronounce. This is not hard to pronounce. His name is not hard to pronounce, right? So if you're running for mayor and you can't even figure out how to pronounce the name of your opponent, right? How is it that isn't alarming to certain people? They look at Mr. Mandini, right, and they say, "Oh, he's too young. He doesn't have any experience. He doesn't know how to run a city. What if there's a fire? What if there's a fire? What's he gonna do? Is he gonna know to call the fire department? Mayor Mamdalini, there's a fire. What should I do? Somebody call 911. There's a fire in the city. There's a fire in the city. I don't know what to. I don't know how to rhyme with that. See, that's Mamdalini's thing, right? And then you got a bunch of people, half the country running around talking about Kamala Harris this, and Kamala, she can't even talk, and word salad, and Kamala, you talking about Kamala's word salad, and you can't even say Kamala? You're so dumb, you can't even say Kamala, and you want to talk about how she talking? I guarantee you, Kamala Harris knows how to say Kamala. So if you can't even say something as simple as Kamala, then maybe you should shut the fuck up talking about how other people talk word salad. She does talk word salad though, but I can say that because I know how to say Kamala. All right, I can say Mandani, right? And I know the name of the only two major political parties in this country. Like, how can you be an American and you don't know the name of the two political parties in this country? There's only two of them, right? The Democratic Party and the Republican Party, right? The president, I mean, I'll put him on a different, because he's something else. But you got a lot of politicians. You got the head of the Speaker of the House talking about the Democrat Party, the Democrat Party, the Democrat Party, the Democrat Party. It's Demo-fucking-cratic Party. How are you a fucking politician in this country? United States Mayor, you're a patriot. I'm proud to be an American who doesn't know the name of one of the only two major political parties in this country. Like, what the fuck? Like, what? It don't make no sense, bro. You are a fucking politician draping yourself in a motherfucking flag, and you don't know the name of an American political party where there's only two major parties? Democratic Party. I'm recording this on tape. I'm recording this on my VHS tape for all the illiterate people who still say tape in 2025. I'm taping this. I'm filming this. I'm using my film camera to film this, right? I don't record. That's what the kids do, right? I'm a grown-ass man. I don't record, right? I film and I tape on my cassette tape, right? In my So this guy exposes how illiterate this country is, right? Because he didn't even have to do anything, just by breathing, just by existing, right? Just by breathing, he exposes how dumb. Like, I never liked Cuomo, but the new mayor of New York City has really shown us just how dumb and illiterate Cuomo is. And it's not just like, oh, he doesn't know how to pronounce the guy's name. I mean, the way he ran his campaign, it's just like brain dead, bro. It's like, you can see why he has this affinity for Donald Trump for whatever reason, right? Let him tell it. That's fake news. Sounds like Donald Trump, but anyway. Because they're the same type of people, just ignorant. And the thing about it is ignorant and strong, right? Confident. He's confident in his ignorance, right? Mamdalini. What did he say? They said they had him on that radio interview talking about Trump said that you're his guy. Something to the no. And he hangs up the phone. And this is his performance on the stage. Like, that's the next thing. This like socialism thing. Like, that is just how, like, we have this low IQ. We have a retardation issue in America, right? That in 2025, that if I'm a politician and I want to get people afraid of my opponent, that no matter what their politics are, no matter what they've said or done, I can just say, he's a communist, he's a socialist, and a bunch of people are like, oh, communist, we don't want that here. This is America. We don't need communism here. Let me just make sure I'm doing the speed limit here, because them boys, I hear you. I hear you with your damn radar gun. It's just insanity, man. The next thing is how people literally mostly use the word literally when they don't mean literally, when they mean figuratively. And regardless of that fact, it's just like an obsession with literally this and literally that and literally. That's like it's like another version of what I just did. Like totally like it's like don't know what the word literally means. If every time you use literally you mean figuratively, then the word literally has no meaning, because how am I supposed to know when you literally mean literally? Right? When somebody's head literally explodes, how am I supposed to know that their head actually explodes versus you're being hyperbolic? Because 9 times out of 10, somebody says literally, they mean figuratively. So if someone's head actually explodes, right? somebody implants a bomb in their head and their head goes boom. And you're trying to explain to me this crazy thing that, man, this guy's head literally exploded. Most people listening to you, they're going to be like, oh, he's just being hyperbolic. Like, what is the point of having a word when you never use it for what it means? Then it's like you're killing the word. Like, and why is it that Americans don't understand this? Like, why you go through school, you learn what the word literally means. Why is it that when you hear somebody using it in the wrong way, it doesn't register? Like, do you mean like nobody says anything because it's kind of like, oh, okay, like it's kind of like no one is trying to say they're perfect. I don't use every word the right way, but I have awareness, at least. For example, sometimes I do use the word like unnecessarily, and I don't even know if I would say I'm using it incorrectly, but more excessively. It's kind of a word filler. I might have. Well, actually, that was okay. Now I'm being self-conscious now. But a lot of these things that are being said, if I speak to people, I feel like they don't know the actual truth. Like, they are actually illiterate or ignorant of these things, right? And it's just a sad state of affairs, man. Communism, socialism. I mean, that trick has been used for so many years. And to think in 2025, we have a population. For example, I'm ashamed to admit I have a friend who, he admits to me that he voted for Cuomo. And then he starts mocking. He sends me a text. He's mocking, like, oh, free stuff, free. We're gonna get everything free. Everything's free. It's like the lowest IQ, response to this guy, right? He wants to do a few free bus lines. He wants to do a few supermarkets. In a city, how many public libraries do we have? In the water, high pressure water thing, pressure washing call. I would never thought you could get it from a library, but you can. I can't imagine what you can get from a New York City public library. I know there's a really big one in Manhattan that's got all kinds of stuff. I know back in the day you were getting DVDs. So you got way more of these libraries that are offering way more free things. But my friend who's mocking, oh, the new mayor is gonna give everything for free. I don't think he has a problem when he takes his kids to a library and they get to enjoy those free things, right? When he calls for the fire department and the fire truck shows up, I don't think he's complaining. When he calls for the police department, they show up, I don't think he's complaining. Listen, man, I haven't had any robberies or any type of crime that's happened to me in, I don't know, years. But yet, I gotta pay taxes. They're taking money from my pocket to go pay for police that I don't need or want. I don't mean that literally, but, and I use that word appropriately. I don't literally mean that I don't want the police. I'm being silly, as is, I always say half the country, but I think it's more than half the country, to be honest. Because we certainly got some morons on the left, right? And it's not a left-right thing, because again, Cuomo. But then again, I think what we call liberal here might be conservative somewhere else. Right? We're all kinds of messed up, man. Our politics are just so messed up, so toxic, man. But this idea of I could just say socialist. And the next thing is also, it's so frustrating, man. You watch, because listen, man, it's one thing for you to disagree, right? So this guy is a democratic socialist, right? I'm perfectly fine with you having problems with his ideology, right? But have a problem with his ideology. He's a democratic socialist. You see people on a network like CNN having Scott Jennings say this guy is a socialist, right? No correction, right? So the audience, so you have an ignorant audience sitting there watching CNN, and they hear this guy in a suit who sounds, and I know this is hard for you guys to hear, but if you don't understand politics or Scott Jennings and what he's all about, you don't recognize this, but you know, I see things as they are. I don't see them from a bubble perspective. A lot of people are in bubbles, right? So even though, you know, I find Scott Jennings to be very disgusting, very embarrassing, very dishonest, very corrupt, I recognize that he's very skilled in his communication, and he has he's very good at sounding smart and sounding reasonable. Like he really puts the lipstick on the pig. Again, if you're a partisan, you're not going to see that. You're just going to see the negative stuff that I see. I see the negative stuff that you see as well, but I also see that he's very skilled. I see the same thing with Donald Trump. Now, in a different way, because Donald Trump definitely doesn't show as polished, right? His thing is more raw and honest, right? But I see the tough guy that a lot of morons in this country see. I see what they see, right? You know, it's completely opposite of reality, but I can actually see it, right? The way he talks, I can see somebody who is caught up emotionally. I can see it coming across as he's a tough guy and he doesn't take anything from anybody. He's not afraid to say anything to anybody, except for Jeffrey Epstein, of course. But anyway, but for him to be on the show, sounding to a certain demographic that he's smart and he's being fair and reasonable or whatever, and he says this guy's a socialist, and then Scott Jennings is supposed to represent the other side, right? Because CNN is trying to do this both sides thing where they're showing, I mean, they're doing a very bad job of it. I mean, I would love for them to actually do this, but I do also recognize the difficulty of finding the one honest conservative influencer or communication person, whatever, right? In terms of right-wing media, it's almost all dishonest, and not just slightly, right? Because it's not like CNN is completely honest, right? We have a lot of dishonesty in our media, but especially right-wing. So I understand that it's very difficult to find a right-wing commentator who will be honest, but trust me, we have much better options than Scott Jennings. But anyway, I get it, right? They're trying to do, supposedly, let's give the right-wing perspective, and then we're the left-wing perspective. Let's do a corporate version of Breaking Points. Okay, but where is the left-wing perspective when a guy calls this guy socialist instead of democratic socialist, and there's no pushback? And again, in the shoes of the audience, who don't know any better, right? They're not educated on this stuff. They're just watching the news, right? They don't know these terms or whatever it is. They're like I was, not even 15 years ago. Didn't even know what a conservative was or a liberal was. I knew that both parties sucked. I didn't know to what degree. I didn't know the details of how they sucked. You could just tell they were just, dishonest, right? So ignorant of so much, sitting there watching this CNN broadcast, and then hearing this guy, Mayor Mamdalini, He's this guy. He's he's a socialist, and New York is it's capitalism, and he's gonna destroy the city. And then I watched the supposed other side sitting there. Well, well, like what? So now you're spreading this virus of ignorance. So more people are gonna go like, oh, New York City has a socialist mayor, right? Now, you can make a good faith argument that he uses the title of Democratic Socialist to cover his true ideology, because Democratic Socialist makes it a little bit more palatable. I don't know that that's what he's doing, but it is a strategy, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's doing it, not because I have evidence of it, but just because that's a strategy, and I don't know the guy. I don't know the guy, and we have a lot of dishonest people in this country, so it's not a radical idea that he might be, trying to be slick. But if that's your argument, make that argument, right? If that's your argument, make that argument. But if the guy said he's a Democratic Socialist, stop calling him a socialist. Unless you're adding the context of he's pretending to be a Democratic Socialist, he's actually But if you don't even say the word Democratic Socialist, right? I mean, at a minimum, you could mock his title and say the so-called Democratic Socialist, right? But when you don't even say Democratic Socialist, so then, especially on the news, so now, what's in the brain of people? They keep hearing people saying he's a socialist and socialism doesn't work, and this guy and socialism rule the world, whatever. All they know about this guy is that he's a socialist. So even if he's tricking people, they wouldn't even know that. They would think he's being honest. He's a socialist and he refers to himself as a socialist. I've never heard anybody say anything else. Everything I hear is socialist. I haven't heard an argument that he's being tricky, right? So you don't even know, like, if that's your argument, you're not even communicating that to people. So people aren't aware, like, this guy he calls himself, like, that's not even something people are saying. All they're saying is that this guy, he's a socialist mayor. And then you have the worst of us in this country, the worst people in this country, people like Donald Trump, who even that smear is not enough. So now you got to call him a communist. So now we have more ignorance in this country, because if he's a communist, and then we're going to see he's going to do, in my view, nothing revolutionary. It's going to be status quo plus a little things better here and there. Obviously, no one's perfect, so he's going to make some mistakes about some things. So it's going to be what we have now, right? Plus some isolated things that are positive for isolated groups of people, right? And plus a few things that didn't really work out the way he planned on, that might be a problem for other isolated groups. But, and I think this is probably the best way to describe it, if you were in a coma, literally, and I mean literally, you're in a coma for the last 2 years, I guess, last 3 years. If you come out of a coma, I would say 2 years from now, and you live in New York City, I don't think you will notice anything different. Now, obviously, if you happen to be one of those isolated groups, like, maybe you go on the bus and the guy's like, no, the bus is free now. I mean, obviously, like, okay, you'll be like, that's cool. Now, even if you're poor, which means that would obviously help you, right? Every dollar counts. I don't think it's going to fundamentally change your life, right? So I think, for example, you might get on the bus, see that it's free, and be like, oh, that's kind of cool. and kind of go about your life. And maybe if you're really good at budgeting, you might at the end of the month look at your money and realize that there's an extra $100 there or $200, whatever you normally pay on the buses. If you're paying that much attention, and you might be like, oh, this is nice. But it's not going to be something where like, holy crap. I remember what it used to be in New York, you know, when we had to pay for buses, and when we didn't have a government supermarket close to me. You know, I remember how it used to be, and man, oh man, back in those days, I was on the street every day begging for food, and now look at me. I don't think that's going to be the experience, right? But yet, we have so many Americans that in their minds, we have a communist. So what is that? So, I don't know, man. It's like, is this a self-defeating thing? Because are you now making communism more palatable? Because if this guy goes into office and does what most likely he's going to do, which is what I just described, nothing fundamentally is going to change, most likely, right? Just like how, look at Biden. I had a friend who, well, that's an isolated story, but for him, you know, he got a big help with the student loan forgiveness, right? And that's a bad example because he really did benefit from that. That was a big deal for him. He really, I mean, he was able to save like $20,000 for the first time in his life. I think previously, if he even had $1,000 or $2,000 in the bank, he might have been doing really well. So that is a massive multiplication of his wealth that happened under Joe Biden, who I'm not a fan of, but I am a fan of reality. And the reality is some of his policies did really help some people. But the point is, the kind of scary stuff where the city is going to collapse and all the millionaires are going to leave and all this kind of stuff. After this new mayor comes in and, you know, we don't really see much change. And a lot of people think he's a communist. And it's kind of like, well, I guess communism is not so bad. Is that the plan? Is the right wing trying to soften us up to communism? Is that what it is? Because if you're going to call somebody as milquetoast, and I know some people might be, you know, some people on the left might be like, oh, am I calling it milquetoast? You just don't know how low the bar is, man. The bar is so low that, yes, relative to the competition, like, for example, look who we ran against, Sliwa and Cuomo. Relative to those boneheads, this guy is the second coming of Christ. Right? But that's because the bar is so damn low. But I don't think that's one difference in how I see things versus where a lot of other people in this country see things, right? In terms of politically. I don't go based on historical precedent, right? Joe Biden was the most progressive. I don't give a fuck he's the most. I care about what we need as a country versus what's being delivered versus what can be delivered or could be delivered. That's what I'm worried about. That's reality. Like reality, like the reality of today has nothing to do with what somebody did 10 years ago, right? I don't mean that as an, I mean, obviously there's a progression in society, things that we can do today, you know, they build upon things from the past, but ultimately, I don't care if Joe Biden is the most progressive president, if that's true. I don't care, like, let's say he increased minimum wage by $2. Which would be, I'll be good. And a lot of people would appreciate that, right? But compared to where we need to be, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be that impressed. I'm not going to be impressed by just bare minimum. I'll give you credit. You do something good, I'll give you credit. Yes, if he did that. If he increased the minimum wage by $2, this is something that will tangibly help people in this country, but it's not enough. And it's not a childish attitude of I'm expecting everything. He's gonna do everything to solve everything and to make everything. No, my expectation is that you fight and deliver the most that you can, as opposed to the bare minimum. That's my standard. If you come in and you fight and you fight and you lose on this and you lose on that and you keep fighting and you lose on something else and you keep fighting and then you get a win on this thing because you fought and you lose on something else and then you get another win because you're fighting, right? I'm not gonna look at you and say, oh man, you lost 9 times and you only won 3. I'm gonna see that you gave it your all. You didn't come up with excuses. Something didn't work, you try something else. That didn't work, you try something else. You didn't accept no for an answer. Right? The court say you can't do it, so you try something else, you do whatever. You go right up to the edge of the line of what's, legal. Right? When it comes to things that are really important for the American people. Stay within the lines of the law, but if you got to stretch it a little bit in a way that's not really harming anybody.
Exit right to exit 39.
Right, that's my expectation, right?
New York 32 toward Highland.
So when I say the new mayor is going to be milquetoast, that's the perspective I'm coming from. Now, if you think the way other people think in this country, and it's all comparative, right? Compared to Cuomo, then calling him milquetoast would be inaccurate. But I don't work off of that standard, right? I don't care what we would have gotten with Cuomo versus what we're gonna get now, right? What I care about is what we gonna get now, right? In isolation of everything else, right? This guy's the mayor now, right? We, or the people in New York City rather, have certain needs, right? The city needs certain things. This guy's the mayor. How much of those things that people need is he going to deliver? That's what I'm looking at things. I'm focused on the reality, right? Cuomo's not in the reality. He didn't win, he lost, right? So comparing what you're going to get to what you got, that's irrelevant, right? He's out of the equation. What we have now is this guy. He's now the mayor, right? Mr. Mamdalini. He's now the mayor. So it's going to be, what will he deliver relative to what is needed? And based on that, I expect milquetoast. But then there's the other angle of propaganda. He will be delivering milquetoast, but you've been saying he's a communist, so now you got to make it a reality. So now they're going to try everything that goes wrong in New York City. From now on in, is going to be because of socialism and communism. If prices go up on anything, it's communism, socialism. See, it doesn't work. It never worked. Blah, blah, blah. Right? And the thing is, we have a lot of stupid people in this country that might fall for it. They'll just be like, yeah, see? Yeah, they're dumb. They don't know communism doesn't work. And then we told them, now they vote for this guy. And now look at the price of gas. It might not even be something relevant to him, but they'll say it. And people be like, yeah, see all that free stuff? Nothing's free in life, man. Nothing's free in life. You can't get free buses without a price. And you know what? The reason why the gas is high is because all the rich people went to Florida. The new mayor of New York City exposing how ignorant we are in this country, how illiterate we are. Kamala Harris, Democrat Party. I got it on tape. He's caught on tape.
Turn right on US 9
saying literally when I mean figuratively.
Left 2 lanes to turn left on Plank Road.
Thinking that the word racist only means negative. They don't even understand what racist means. It's racist to say that black people are stupid, but it's not racist to think that Latinos are good lovers. Or Asians are good at math. That's not racist. Racist is when you believe in black people are inferior and white people are superior. Wow. We could even get into cars. there's a famous car. The name begins with the letter
Half a
M,
mile. Exit
and then
right
it goes
to
the letter U, and then the letter R. And you would think people would read it as Moore. More. But what do they say? They say Mur. M-U-R becomes M-E-R for some reason. The Lamborghini Murcielago. It's written Murcielago, but for some reason we say Murcielago. Right. And even look at the Gallardo. So even if you don't know the double L is like a Y, why you throw an R in there? They'll say like Gallardo. Like where? There's no fucking R in Gallardo. Lamborghini Gallardo. Like at a minimum, you would say Lamborghini Gallardo, right? Where you get the R? What is it? Gallardo. Galar. Where is there an R in there? How does an American look at a word that doesn't have an R in it and then throw an R in there just for fun? Like, illiterate. Kamala, Democrat Party. Caught on tape. Literally, my head exploded. I literally died yesterday. I'm figuratively driving this car right now. That's America in 2025. Let me go say hi to my neighbor. I got that heat, son. It's hot in here. You see I got my t-shirt on. Yeah.
Keep that thing high.
The fluid?
Yeah. Even with that hammer, keep it a bit high in there.
All right.
Keep it there.
All right, man.
Because I see it was low. Whenever we did, it was low. So keep it high.
I gotta give you the Denzel Washington, my man. Yeah.
Yeah, keep that thing
I'm
high.
good, man.
I think when it's down low, the air get in it.
Right. All right.
This air.
I'll keep track of it. All right, man. Be good, man. Yeah. This is the Debate Me channel. Debate Me comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. Mayor Mamdalini. Now, here's the biggest joke. Because I made this video talking about all this stuff, now I'm not gonna be able to say his name right because I said it 10 different ways. Now I done confused myself. Oh man, you wanna make fun of me? Ask me to say the mayor's name. I'll be honest. While I was making this video, because of me messing up his name intentionally and saying it so many different ways, and I guess I'm older too, I scrambled myself. So there were points in this video where I wanted to say his name and I intentionally didn't. I don't know if you noticed it. I would say like New York City mayor or something like that, or the new mayor, because I don't want to, because that would be funny. I'm talking about people can't say his name and then I can't say his name because I'm saying it like how they say it to make a point. All right, guys, I'm out. Mamdalini, Mayor Mamdalini, Mamdalini.